Hello everyone. In last lecture we have discussed about pulmonary ventilation. Pulmonary ventilation is amount of air inhaled or exhaled out of lung in each minute or per minute. In today's lecture we are going to discuss about alveolar ventilation. Alveolar ventilation, it is volume of air available for exchange of gases in alveoli per minute. Now in functional anatomy of respiratory tract, we have discussed that respiratory tract, it is basically divided into two parts, conducting zone and exchange zone. Now conducting zone, it only conducts air from atmosphere or from one part to another part of lung, while actual exchange of gas, it takes place only in alveoli, that is from zone number 17 to 23. Now this conducting part of the respiratory tract, where this gaseous exchange, it does not take place, it is known as dead space, and the air that present in this dead space, it is known as dead space air. Its value is around 150 ml. We can say approximately it is equal to our body weight counted in pounds. Over here we are not counting weight in kilogram but in pounds, or we can say it is around 30% of minute ventilation. Now coming to types of dead space air. First one, anatomical dead space air. So it is the volume of air that is present inside conducting zone of respiratory tract and it actually does not participate in exchange. Next one is alveolar dead space air. Now it is the amount of air that is present inside alveoli and it does not take part in exchange. Now under physiological condition, all the air that is present inside alveoli is available for gaseous exchange, and so we can simply say that alveolar dead space air in normal person, its value is 0. Last one is physiological dead space air. So it is the sum of anatomical dead space air and alveolar dead space air. Now as we know, in physiological condition alveolar dead space air is 0. So we can say in normal person physiological dead space air is equal to anatomical dead space air. Now coming to the pathological factors that affects dead space. Now there are certain conditions in which there is increase in dead space, but let's understand first what increase or decrease is dead space. So the condition in which there is increase in amount of air inside a lung, or the conditions in which the pulmonary blood flow surrounding these alveoli is decreased, in these conditions we can say dead space is affected. So the conditions like emphysema, there is increase in dead space. The reason is over here lung inflates and there is more amount of air as compared to surrounding pulmonary blood flow. Next one is bronchiectasis. Over here again bronchi dilates and there is more amount of air as compared to pulmonary blood flow. Next one is pulmonary embolism. Now over here the amount of air that is present inside a alveoli, it is normal, but surrounding pulmonary blood flow decreases. So certain amount of air that is present inside alveoli, it does not take part in exchange because now the exchange is decreased. So these factors, they create a dead space. Now for measurement of dead space there are two methods, direct method which is based on Bohr's equation, and second one indirect method, that is by single breath oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen washout technique. Now we are not going into much detail of this measurement of dead space. Now let's talk about alveolar ventilation. First alveolar. Now let's go into detail about alveolar air. Now let's first talk about its composition. Over here partial pressure of oxygen, it is 104 millimeter of mercury. Partial pressure of carbon dioxide, it is 40 millimeter of mercury, and partial pressure of water, it is 47 millimeter of mercury. Now this alveolar air, it slightly differs than atmospheric air. So if you talk about the characteristics of alveolar air, then first, partial pressure of oxygen, it is less as compared to atmospheric air, while partial pressure of carbon dioxide, it is slightly more than atmospheric air. The reason over here is that there is residual volume presence inside alveoli and it dilutes the atmospheric air when it enters into alveoli. Second is water vapors, they are added into this air as it inspired at body temperature and it creates additional pressure of 47 millimeter of mercury. Last one is that this alveolar air, it is replaced very slowly and this leads to less fluctuation in partial pressure of oxygen, partial pressure of carbon dioxide and pH of alveolar air. Next is ventilation perfusion ratio. So it is the ratio of alveolar ventilation and the amount of blood that perfuses the alveoli, and this ventilation perfusion ratio, it decides how much exchange of gas is there. So if you want to talk about value, then we know alveolar ventilation, it is around 4.2 liter and pulmonary blood flow, it is 5 liter. So the value of ventilation perfusion ratio is 0.8. Now whenever there is increased ventilation perfusion ratio, that means there is more amount of air as compared to blood flow is present, and whenever there is decreased ventilation perfusion ratio, that means less amount of air is present as compared to blood flow, that is pulmonary blood flow. Now next is effect of increased ventilation perfusion ratio. What it means, ventilation is more and perfusion is less. So it shows decreased exchange of gases at the respiratory membrane. Over here, because of more amount of air, alveolar dead space formation occurs, and because of that there is change in alveolar air composition. Next is effect of decreased ventilation perfusion ratio. Over here again same thing happens, a decreased exchange of gases at the respiratory membrane, but over here shunting of part of venous blood occurs because of less amount of air. There is not enough gas is present to exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide. So some of the deoxygenated blood, it remains deoxygenated and it causes shunting of venous blood. Next is change in the alveolar air composition, it also occurs. Now next is effect of gravity on this ventilation perfusion ratio. At apex of lungs, this ventilation perfusion ratio, it increases and is 3 times as compared to normal. The reason is over here ventilation, it decreases, but perfusion is even more decreased due to gravity at apex, and because of this there is formation of physiological dead space and it makes apex more vulnerable to tuberculosis. Now at the base, this ventilation perfusion ratio, it decreases and is 0.6 as compared to normal, and this create physiological shunt at base. Now let us talk about its clinical application. In bronchial obstruction, this ratio decreases. The reason is there is less amount of air because of bronchial obstruction, and in case of obstruction of pulmonary artery, this ratio increases. The reason is over here there is less amount of blood as compared to air. Now if you talk about relation of this ventilation perfusion ratio with partial pressure of oxygen and partial pressure of carbon dioxide, then whenever there is increase ventilation perfusion ratio, it means air is more. So over here partial pressure of oxygen is more and partial pressure of carbon dioxide is less. Now whenever this ventilation perfusion ratio decreases, it means more amount of blood is present as compared to air, so that decreases partial pressure of oxygen as compared to there is increase in partial pressure of carbon dioxide. Now let's talk about diffusion of gases across respiratory membrane. Now it occurs in respiratory bronchioles, alveolar ducts and alveoli, and it occurs through respiratory membrane. Now if we talk about structure of this respiratory membrane, then it is composed of surfactant, fluid lining the alveoli, alveolar epithelial layer, basement membrane of alveoli, interstitial space, basement membrane of capillary and capillary endothelial cells. Now if you talk about surface area of this respiratory membrane, then it is around 70 meters square. Its thickness is 0.5 to 0.1 microns. Over here in this figure you can see the structure of this respiratory membrane. Now if we talk about process, then we know that both these gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide, they are lipid soluble, so they can easily diffuse through this respiratory membrane. Now there are certain factors that affect this diffusion, and it is known as Fick's law of diffusion. So the factors affecting that, first, it is inversely proportional to thickness of respiratory membrane. What it means that whenever the thickness is more, the diffusion, its rate is slow. Next is this diffusion, it is directly proportional to surface area of respiratory membrane. So simply more surface area is available for this diffusion. Next is this diffusion of gases, it is directly proportional to partial pressure gradient of gases. More the pressure gradient, more easily it can diffuse. Next is it is directly proportional to diffusion coefficient of gases, and this diffusion coefficient of gases is directly proportional to gas solubility, and it is inversely proportional to square root of molecular weight. What it means that more soluble gas it can pass easily, and if it is having more molecular weight, then it is going to pass slowly. Next is diffusion capacity of lungs. So it is the amount of gas that crosses the alveolar capillary membrane or simply respiratory membrane per minute per unit millimeter of mercury difference in partial pressure of gas on the two sides of membrane. So if you talk about value, then the diffusion capacity of oxygen, it is around 20 to 30 milliliter per minute per millimeter of mercury at rest, while that of carbon dioxide is around 400, which is around 20 times more than oxygen. What it means that carbon dioxide, it diffuses very fast as compared to oxygen. The reason is carbon dioxide, it is more soluble as compared to oxygen. So if we talk about determinants, then the determinants of diffusion, they are surface area and thickness of respiratory membrane along with solubility and molecular weight of gases. Now the factors that affects or increases this diffusion capacity, it is mainly exercise, as there is increase in surface area during exercise, and the factors that decreases this diffusion capacity, it is seen in emphysema or lobectomy, that is removal of part of lung, and both these conditions they decreases surface area, while in case of pulmonary edema and interstitial fibrosis, there is increase in thickness of respiratory membrane, which in turn decreases diffusion of gases. So with this we finish our today's lecture.